Hi YouTube, it's Kathy and this is my weekly entertainment wrap-up from May 25th through 31st. This week I read 3 books, I watched 1 show, I watched 1 movie, and I listened to 2 books. Just as a side note, it feels weird to be recording so soon because I recorded my May wrap-up yesterday and completely made that video and posted it last night, so this is a little bit of a quick turnaround. But sometimes that's just how the end of the month, end of the week falls, and I wanted more time for reading for the Queer Lit Readathon during June, so I figured I might as well get that done before June happens. The first book that I finished this week is Come As You Are. This is a new release about this girl who has decided that she needs to go away to boarding school because she found her sister in bed with her boyfriend and found out that her best friend actually knew about the whole situation and didn't tell her. Wanting an entirely clean break from that situation, she takes herself to this boarding school, which is supposed to be a fresh start where nobody really knows her and she can just kind of make some friends and it'll be a good time. However, the first day she gets there, she finds out that due to an administrative error, they put her in the boy dorms, which, to be fair, given her name is Everett Owen Riley, if you're not reading the rest of her transcripts properly, you might also think that that's where she belongs, but no. This causes a whole kerfuffle because there's actually no rooms available whatsoever in any of the girls' dorms, but obviously she can't room this with this Archibald guy, especially because he's kind of a jerk. But they come to realize in the same boys' dormitory there is one room that is not currently occupied because it's kept for students that have accessibility needs, which means it also has its own shower, which is good because she's definitely not showering with them. So she ends up with a single room, but she's still in the boys' dorm. During the school year, she just kind of wants to reinvent herself, so she looks for some friends to kind of figure out how she can kind of get a bad streak, because her sister has always been a bad girl and she's gotten everything she's ever wanted, so why can't she? And it means she ends up making this pact with this guy named Salem. Basically, if she can teach him how to be good, he can teach her how to be bad, which is a dynamic I absolutely adored. Also, this is one of those books where I absolutely loved the side characters, and honestly, I want more books in this universe. If you can't tell by my tone, this book was an absolute delight. The next book that I read was Consumed. This one has to do with fast fashion and the consumption of clothing in particular in our world, and some practices that I'm sure some of us knew about but we haven't thought too closely about. In this, one of the statistics that made me feel personally better about my consumption but also feel bad about the world in general is apparently there are people that only use their fast fashion items like twice before throwing them out, which is no. I definitely have some pieces in my collection, which is mostly t-shirts. I mostly buy t-shirts that I don't know the ethics around, or I know that they probably didn't come from the best place. However, I wear them a lot. I will wear them until they're full of holes. That being said, though, this book was really interesting because not only were we getting this information about the industry in general, but we were also getting it through the viewpoint of this person who studied fashion and actually went to have an internship when she was living in London, and it was very, very interesting. This also touches on cultural appropriation versus appreciation, and it was just an interesting time. Accidentally continuing on with books set at boarding schools, the next book that I read is Nobody in Particular. This one actually comes out this week. And this one has 2 point of view characters. One of them is named Danny. She is American, but she's just recently moved to a country called Henland, which is somewhere in Europe. It actually used to be ruled by England, but they separated from them about 600 years ago, which explains why everybody speaks English in this story. Upon realizing that she would be moving to Henland because her mother married a man from Henland, so they immigrated there, she's like, oh, that school I've always dreamed of going to because of their music program is there, but there's no way they would accept me, right? So she puts in an application, she gets a scholarship, and she finds herself going to this very prestigious boarding school. The other student in question is this girl named Rose, and she just happens to be the crown princess of Henland. So when these girls eventually realize that they like each other, they have to keep it on the down low because homophobia and Henland is a highly Catholic country. Rose has pretty much always known she's a lesbian, so she came to the conclusion a while ago that because of the crown she would have to end up marrying a man, bearing babies, the whole heir thing, that's basically her job. But then that she would have lovers on the side, which I'm sure has never happened in any monarchy ever. This, however, is not exactly something that appeals to Danny, so that causes some issues. I really enjoyed this. We got to see these characters go through so many different things. And this is just one of those books I couldn't put down. I read it in a couple of days. On to the one show I watched, and that was a continuation of Silent Witness. The last time we talked I was in the 4th season, and by the end of yesterday I think I was at the end of the 7th season. This continues to be a good time, although the one thing that I really can't stand about this show is I really hate the music. There's just something about specifically one particular note in the opening title sequence that almost always gives me a headache every single time. Also, Jen in my comments so kindly pointed out that at some point Sam Ryan is no longer the lead of this show, which I kind of guess because the thumbnail for the show on BritBox is this woman with blonde hair that I'm pretty sure isn't Sam Ryan, but I was willing to just like wait and find out. But now that I know that for sure, I'm constantly going, is this when Sam is going to leave the show? Is she going to be killed off here? Is she going to leave because of this situation? I don't know. I'm still fairly early on in the show though, so I imagine she'll be here for a little while longer, but I don't know for sure, and please don't spoil it for me. The one movie I watched this week is Final Destination Bloodlines, which is the 6th in the franchise. After the 5th, which ended up being a prequel, I thought we weren't getting any more from this franchise, so it was interesting to me to be like, oh, this is coming out. Okay, why not? And apparently one of the marketing tactics was they just hired a logging truck to drive around with posters for this movie on it, which, yeah, this franchise is why I can't drive behind logging trucks, especially because the highway in that movie is the highway on my island that I take to go from here to where I grew up. Anyway, as this one starts out, we're in the 1950s or 1960s and following this couple who are going to this big tower, and that something terrible happens, and then all of a sudden we're following completely different characters who are connected to that main character. We have to figure out why, we have to figure out what death has got going on. It's the usual interesting Final Destination time, and yeah, this movie definitely likes to play with you because it's like, oh, do you think I'm gonna kill somebody by doing this? Do you think this is what it's gonna be? No, it's a completely different thing. So if you're a fan of the franchise, you'll probably enjoy this one as well. As for the audiobooks I listened to, the first one was Murder in the Dressing Room. This one is by somebody named Holly Stars. Holly Stars is a drag queen, and in this book our main character is Misty Devine. She is also a drag queen, and she has to figure out who killed her drag mother because she finds her dead in her dressing room one day. This was absolutely wonderful. I loved seeing Missy in drag, and I loved seeing Joe out of drag. I loved seeing their relationship with their boyfriend Miles. And I loved them just trying to figure out who could have possibly killed their drag mother, because it's kind of a closed situation. But on top of the who, there's the why. Why would somebody kill Lady Lady? This is the first in a detective type of series, and I really want the rest of the books immediately. They're not out yet. This one's the first one out, so I have to wait. But I'm very excited to see what else Misty gets up to. The other book that I listened to this week is a historical fiction called Sisters of the Lost Nation. This one takes place on a fictional tribal band where they recently have a casino, so people are getting per capitas, but our main character is somebody who doesn't really fit in. She goes to a high school that's not on the reservation, and people look down on her because she's indigenous, but they also look down on her because she's not exactly the most feminine person. Reading between the lines on this one, because this term wasn't used in the text itself, although it was mentioned in the author's note at the end, you come to realize that Anna is probably two-spirit. To make some extra money, she actually works as a chambermaid at the casino, and then some weird things start happening. She gets shifted departments to work at the nighttime, and her new nighttime boss definitely is doing shifty things, but she doesn't know exactly what they are. Not to mention girls from the reservation just keep going missing. This one has a lot to do with storytelling and record keeping, and I really enjoyed that aspect of this book. I did get a little confused at the very beginning of this because there was quite a big time jump, and then we were kind of following different days between one point and another point. We were kind of jumping a little bit in the timeline, doing it not in exactly a linear fashion. It kind of ironed out towards the end, but at the beginning it wasn't exactly linear. And I think it's because I was listening to it and it was harder to keep track of which day we were on, but as time went on I got better at that. So that's probably just a me thing. This was a wonderful combination of this person just coming into her own, trying to figure things out, and wondering why people can't just like her because she's just a person. That's it for this week. If you've read, watched, or listened to any of these, let me know about it down in the comments below. On the way down to the comments, if you hit that subscribe button, that would be very nice of you. If you don't feel like leaving a comment but want to make sure that I know you were here, just leave me an emoji or a smiley face if you happen to be on your keyboard. Some people have asked if there's a way to financially support this channel, so I set up a Ko-fi account, which is a digital tipping service. The link for that, as always, is down below. You can like and share this as you see fit, and I will see you very soon. Bye!